really quickly, and then I'm going to introduce Amanda Solomon. I'm Audrey Butlett-Swenson, and I am the liaison librarian to the College of Management Technology. I just put business and IT on there because it's less of a mouthful. And with me tonight is one of our other librarians, Amanda Solomon, and she will be my lovely co-pilot and watching chat for me and piping in when you guys have questions that maybe I don't see, because I won't, just so we can get through content and I can pay attention to what I'm doing. She's going to look at chat for me. So if you have questions, feel free to pop them in there. If you need me to repeat something, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Some of these require some extra clicking, so we'll do our best. And I don't think the webinar is going to go a full hour, which is fine. You know, we'll save time at the end for questions if you have them. So we just wanted to say hi so you could see our faces and see that we're real people. And hopefully you can see my screen okay. Hopefully nobody said in chat that they can't see the slide deck. And then, so Amanda, good. Okay, so Amanda will be putting the slide deck in hopefully in chat. If that doesn't work, what we'll do is we'll attach the slide deck to the follow-up email that you guys will get tomorrow. It's just automatically generated, so you'll get a recording of the webinar and you'll get a copy of the slide deck. So both will come to you within the next 24 hours. If chat's not working properly, we'll get it worked out one way or another. So I am going to turn off my camera so I don't distract myself. And I think Amanda's going to pop off too. But we're so glad you're here tonight. Thanks for being with us. So today we're going to go over SAGE research methods online. And to be honest, this is one of my favorite databases in the library, just because I think the content in here is really fabulous, especially when you're working on working on methodology. If you're not sure where to start, it's a really great resource. So let me click on my screen, make sure it goes forward. Again, the slide deck, that top link goes straight to SAGE Research Methods Online, and I'm actually going to call it SRMO, so I don't have to, so it's not so many words. At this point, I'm not used to talking quite that much, so it's easier to just use the acronym. So this database contains resources about research methods, so qualitative, quantitative, if you're wanting to figure out how to do case study, if you're looking at data analysis or data collection, it kind of gives you an overview of that information. Some of the contents that's in there that we will go through step by step has this thing called a methods map. And I'm not sure that we actually have, I think I have a picture of it in here. So the slide deck has, again, a link to the database, and then I have instructions here. So these link to our quick answers about how to get to our encyclopedias and how to get to a specific database, because there's a couple different ways that you can get to SRMO in the library, and we'll walk through that. But I wanted to make this easy for you after the webinar. If you just had the slide deck open, you could get to it pretty easily. So here are a couple screenshots, and I promise as soon as we get out of the slide deck, we'll go into the database and do some actual searching. But I wanted to set this up for you so when you come back to the slide deck after the webinar, you have some context for it. So there's a couple different ways that you can go through SAGE. There's an advanced search or a general search bar that they have on the main page here. If you click on advanced search, you can do something a little bit more intricate for your search string, or how you search through SAGE research. There's also browsing. Here's an image of the methods map that we will go through. And so to the right-hand side, I think, is actually a link from SRMO that you can go to that gives you context for the methods map. The project planner, which we will also discuss. And this is a kind of cool resource because it walks you through planning your research. It doesn't align with anybody's rubric. It's just here as a guideline, but it's just a really neat resource that they have in there. We have a very short list of videos. I promise all of them are pretty close to 15 minutes or less. There might be one that's like 17 minutes, but they've got some cool stuff in there. So we'll talk about that. The end of the slide deck is just how, looking at quick answers, contacting the library, and if you're a doctoral student, we do have appointments available. So that's it's just more of an outline for the slide deck. So, and the rest of it will just be demo. So as far as contacting the library, I'm going to show you how to do that. So in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on Ask a Librarian, And I do this for all of my webinars, just in case you're not super familiar with the library yet and you haven't reached out to us if you have questions. So there's 4 different ways to contact us. You can email, chat, our dates and times are available there. You can leave us a voicemail and we will email you back. As I was saying earlier, if you want to make a capstone appointment, so if you're a doctoral student, you can make an appointment with us. You'll just come in here and select the appropriate or collect the correct college, and then find a date and time that works for you. So I'm not going to walk through that completely, but just know that it's there for you. Hopefully there's no questions about that. So there are 2 different ways to get to SRMO in the library. One of them is by going to databases A to Z. This is where all of our databases and open source links live. So Sage starts with an S, so you can click on S in the databases A to Z page, and you'll see SRMO as the 3rd option down. The other option here is to go to, let's go back to all, is to click on database types, and you'll see encyclopedias and dictionaries, and you can limit your search there and SRMO will pop up again. So it's up to you how you want to find it. Alphabetical is probably the easiest, but you have your option. So databases A to Z, or if you go to publications, there is a whole tab here for our encyclopedias, handbooks, and dictionaries. So SRMO is listed here, and I'll go ahead and open that. But I'll give you some context for what's going on here. So Gale and Sage, they're really here for your concepts and theories and that kind of like general knowledge. Sage Research Methods Online is very specific to methodology and research concepts. So you wouldn't want to come in here for the most part and look up a theory or something that's not methodology related, because you're not going to get as many hits. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this list, that Sage is very, very much focused on research methodology, which is why it's so awesome, but it's also very specific. So I have the database open now. Great. So this is just the main interface. You could easily come in here and just run a search if you were looking for something like qualitative. You can just do a general term. A lot of times it'll just pre-search that term for you and give you an idea of what's going to pop up, and you can grab it from this drop down. If you have something more specific like case study, you could type that in, and it'll tell you, okay, well, there's a book about case study methods, or if I need to do like a keyword search on it, lots of cool stuff will pop up for you. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. The next thing you can do in here is an advanced search. And I think, a lot of us are accustomed to that single search bar like we are in Google. So there's nothing wrong with just starting there to see what you can find. But there is this advanced search page that you can narrow your results before you even, hit the search button if you want to. The nice thing about this is if you had something very specific in mind and you wanted to narrow it down by date, and then you wanted to narrow it down by content type, like maybe I don't want videos, and I don't want the project planner, I don't want podcasts, don't want articles, and I'm only really focusing on maybe nursing, something like that. You could limit your search before you even run it. But I would only suggest doing that if you were looking for something very specific. Otherwise, just keep it broad to see what you can find in the database. That's probably the easiest way to start out. So I'll head back to that main page. The other thing you can do is browse. And actually, if you scroll down the page, this is very, very similar to what you'll find on the rest of the website. I think they just tried to condense it so it's in a viewable area, so there's less scrolling, but we'll definitely scroll down because I think it's, depending on how you like to look through things, I think scrolling down gives you a little bit more context. But you can, click on these to get content on a very specific topic. So if you just wanted all the information they had on research design, you could click on this. If you just wanted, research methodology related to marketing, you could click on this. And the other things that they have on the right-hand side here are content types. So these are going to be little green books and little blue books. So little green books are quantitative research methodology. Little blue books are qualitative. So these little books that have information regarding to that methodology are going to be specific. So, you know, if you see that in your results list, you can figure out which methodology it's focusing on. Reference is usually like encyclopedias and dictionary entries, although there are handbooks if you do all books, journal articles. There are some interesting articles in here about different research methodologies. You know, if you're looking at a strict date range, a lot of them, you know, they're probably 2010, 2012. I have seen some newer ones, but they're not all from the last 2 years. You could go here to look at our videos, and then the project planner. I don't think we have access to their podcasts. I think that's a separate section, but you could check it out. The next thing I want to point out, and we'll come back to this, is the research tools. So we walked through this a little bit in the slide deck, but these are some really cool things that they have. So one of the ones I usually walk through is the methods map, because it does kind of the sifting for you, kind of figuring out, well, okay, I'm going to start with this methodology, or I have this one term, but I want to see what's related to it. Reading lists, which are nice because if somebody has come in here and created a personal account, people will collect different items that are in here and put it into a personal reading list, and we'll take a look at that. And then again, the project planner. I'm not going to worry about the which stats test. You're welcome to take a look at that, but I'm just not as familiar with that information in general, so I don't want to lead anybody down the wrong road, but just know that it's there if you want to check it out. So let's scroll on down. So again, you can come in here and just look at things by, you know, content type, you know, books, video, reference. Again, this is going to be dictionaries and encyclopedia entries and probably handbooks. Oh, you know what? Books over here, handbooks. Your little green books, again, for quantitative, qualitative, for little blue books, your project planner, and then maybe there's a short list of podcasts. I haven't clicked on that since they've updated the database. Again, this looks very familiar. We had that from the browse option. Methods map, you can get it from here as well. Some short videos about using SAGE research. So if you're in here and you're like, oh, I know the librarian said this one thing about SRMO, there are some short little tutorials down here too. So, all right. So let's do a quick search in here, and I'm just going to pick on case study since that for some reason has been a very popular topic in my appointments for the last couple of weeks. Even today, actually. So I'm just doing a search for case study. And this is the other thing that happens every once in a while is SAGE is sometimes a little slow to load, especially when the results list is really long. Just the way it goes, I guess. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't, oh, there we go. Okay, so that's why. We have about 14,571 results on case study. So it'll always tell you what kind of resource you're gonna click into. So this one's an encyclopedia, this one's a handbook, regular book. I'm sure at some point if we keep scrolling, we'll get one of those little blue books or little green books. But if you wanted to narrow that down, if you click on content type, it'll tell you how much of each one of these you've gotten. So if you wanted to focus on handbooks only, or if you wanted to look at little green books or little blue books, you could certainly do that. You can uncheck them. Let's uncheck them, look at books again, and then we could say, well, case study is generally qualitative, so we could limit this down to little blue books. And it'll probably still have lots of results, which is why it's taking so long to load. So if this happens to you, it's not just you, it's everybody. And I'll go ahead and open up one of them. So if we click on this, it's a little bit older, 1993. But it kind of gives you some overview of like what's in this book, you know, front, like your editorial notes, copyright, all that stuff, stuff about the authors. But you can come in here and click through chapters. You know, you could click on one of these, or you can search within the book itself and see if there was a specific thing, like we could search for interview, see if they have anything about interviews in there. And then the different content within this handbook or the little blue book, if we search for interview, there are six matches for interview in this section, 3, 1, and 1. So there's a lot of different ways you can search for content in this database, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I'll head back to that last search page. It'll probably take a second to load back up. The other cool thing is, if you're not just looking at content type, you could limit this by discipline. So if you were doing this for social work, or you were doing this for business, or you were doing this for psychology, you should be able to limit it down. So, I mean, they've got a pretty good list of different options that you could narrow this to. So if we clicked on uncheck one, and let's pick on communications and media. And then our narrowed list. So we'll have little blue books that cover communication and media studies that talk about case studies. And of course, you could open that back up if you didn't have much to work with. 36 results isn't so bad. It looks like it's not actually pulling our exact phrase, which is fine. So you would want to open it back up, because I didn't. Normally when you're in the databases and you're looking for an exact phrase, you could put this on quotation marks. So that's why we're getting things that just talk about studies. But if we opened up the content type back up to books or other items, we'd get more results. So that's one way to search for content in here. So if we were looking at, if we just wanted to do a general kind of sifting to see what do they have about communication and media studies, you could click on that browse option. I feel like I should have some trivia music playing while it loads, or some cricket noises. That'd be pretty cool.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. So then you've got your content here related to communications and media studies. And then you could go back up here and say, okay, well, that's my area. What do I want to look at? Maybe I just want to look at encyclopedia entries, or what kind of articles do they have related to this topic? So that's another way you could do that. If you want to modify your search after you've run one, we didn't technically run one because we were just browsing, but you can click on modify search and then change it so we had just regular case study in here. But if I wanted to make this an exact search, I could put it in quotation marks. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell the database to search for that exact phrase. Don't break it apart, and don't put it in a different order. So we'll run it one more time. And hopefully it won't be, what do we have, 14,000 before? It was a big number. It'll probably still be pretty big, but I don't think it'll be 14,000. Yeah, so now we're down to 318. But if you were looking for something specific, like a multi-case study, or if you were looking for, number of participants, or, some kind of data analysis or some kind of data collection, you can certainly come in here and search for something very similar, just like that. Okay, so now that we've run a search, let's go up to the research tools option at the top. And if you hover over that, you'll get that drop down again. And I'm going to click on methods map. All right, so I think this is super cool. So you could come in here and kind of figure out where you want to start. Like, oh, maybe I'm just starting out with research design. I'm not sure which one I should focus on. Here's case study. We were talking about that earlier, but there's some other options here. And of course, you can click on any of these and get more context. So you click on that. And now you have a recent history of the things you've clicked on, so it keeps track for you. And then there's a couple of different broader terms related to case study there if you wanted to. You can click on search all content on case study research, which is basically what we already did by searching for case study. But this is another way to get to that point, right? So if you're not sure if it's something that you're interested in, or you just want to learn more, you can certainly click on that. If you want to look at single cases, now we can just click on this to find all the information in SRMO on single cases. But it's nice because it kind of walks you through related terms in a way that you're getting narrower and narrower, so be more specific in that methodology or whatever you've chosen. And we've got 234 results. So you can always go in there and play with that. I mean, it's not going to tell you what to use or, if you should be using it. It just gives you some ideas of how things work and some instruction based on what you've chosen or context for whatever you've chosen. And so it's definitely still saved what we've picked, which is great. And then, you have the option if you wanted to start over as well. So that's the methods map. And I love this. I think that's so cool. The next thing I'm going to point out is our project planner in SRMO. And again, I said at the beginning, so this project planner really isn't here it's not going to tell you, it's not going to be related to anybody's rubrics. It's just a place to start. So if you click on this, it kind of asks those overarching questions that people have when they're just starting out. Like, let's go down to reviewing the literature, because I think that's the library's, that's where we spend a lot of time helping students is with their lit review, or trying to find articles. So why are you needing to do a lit review? What is great literature? How do I keep a bibliography? How can I use the internet in my research? So there's a lot of different things in here. If you click on it, they'll give you some search terms that might be of use to you. And if you click on them, they'll give you some context for those topics. So let's go down to, we'll do research ethics. And you've got more questions here. What's a risk assessment? What is researcher bias? And then of course they give you some context and even a short video. So that's pretty cool. So again, this isn't going to be specific to anybody's rubric. It's more of just each step of the process with some FAQs with linked content in this database to help you answer those questions and give you some context. So that is another cool thing that SRMO has. So, all right. So the next thing I want to point out are these reading lists. And hopefully it doesn't take too long to load. Great. So you can come in here and browse or by method or discipline. If there's somebody in here that's doing, we'll say psychology this time. And these are all other researchers. Most of them have their names. Sometimes they just have like a general username. And what they've done is they've come in here and they're, whatever it is they're researching, they've just collected a reading list that you can go in and check out. So maybe they're researching something that's similar to you and they've already found some really cool resources in SRMO that you can go check out. So we could go look at this person's list that they just did on 5.4, and it has a list of everything that they've decided to collect and make public. So you have the option of doing that as well. All you would need to do is build a profile in SRMO. And that's completely private to you. It's not something that's part of that single sign-on to get into the database. This is a private thing that the library can't see or edit. And so if you click on that, it'll give you the options, but just know that, again, you don't have to use your Walden account. You can use Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo, whatever you've got, and you'll just click on create profile. So, but not required, just giving those options for you if you're interested. Okay. So does anybody have a search that they'd like me to demo? Or do you have any questions about Sage? We can certainly go through them. I can point out videos while we're here. So if we click on videos. We can just look at all of them. I can't believe they didn't just open it up. Browse all videos. There we go. Amanda, are there any questions in the chat box that I...
Hey, Audrey. Yeah, we just
Yeah.
got a question from Tiffany, and she says that she has a question. She is doing research on digital learning.
Oh, sure.
She is not sure where to start her readings. So I think maybe she could just type in digital learning.
Yeah.
That would be more of like a topic maybe for an article database. I'm not sure if it would
Yeah, I am not
You
sure that would
know,
be focused on a methodology at all, but I mean, you could come in here and try it. And so I put it in quotation marks like we did in
yeah, I
case
think
they,
Tiffany, you probably want to start on, yeah,
okay,
perfect.
yep. So we'll see what we get. I know there's a lot of education content in here, so not a problem. And just like all of our other searches. So we've got 33 results for digital learning. What it's in regards to, I mean, Handbook of Research on Teacher Education. That's pretty cool. And digital literacies for the research institution or virtual environments and collaborations talking about digital learning. So they've got some content in here that you could review. And you can always look at other terms related to digital learning. So you could say remote learning or online learning, and you might get more content that way too. So if I was going to do that in here, if those are close enough for you, remote learning or online learning. So what this is doing is it's the ors in between these terms is going to tell the database that any of these terms is fine to find content on any of them. So I'm going to hit search again. And I think we have, what, 33 results before. We'll see what we get now. I guess the longer it takes to spin and sort that out, the more results we're going to have, which is great. Okay, so we went from 33 to 154. So, I mean, it depends. If you were looking for that exact phrase of digital learning, you could leave it as that. But if you're okay with looking for other related terms, you're going to get a lot more results. So I saw a couple hands pop up. Is there another one, Amanda, that?
Yeah, we have a really good question. Someone in my last residency mentioned the green books. What exactly are the green books?
Okay, so let's go there. So if we go to browse and then little green books. So I think we clicked on a little blue book. So the green books are going to be quantitative methodology specifically. So they're going to cover a lot of concepts related to quantitative methodology. I'm definitely I'm not a methodologist, and this is not my comfort area. I mean, I could come in here and help you search for something that you're hoping to find, but I'm not the expert in this area by any means. But these these little books, I think I had a faculty tell me that these used to be in print. And so when you used to go to a brick and mortar library, you'd have these on the shelf. So you would know that when you picked up a little green book, it'd be quantitative. When you picked up the little blue book, it'd be qualitative. So if you click on one of these, it just gives you an overview of whatever that topic is related to quantitative research. And then you have your chapters here. So if you were looking at, factorial survey experiments, and then wanted to know about setting up the survey within that chapter, you can click it, and then you're going to get your full chapter with a bunch of content related to that. So those what those little books are for. They're not going to be peer-reviewed content that you're going to cite, but they're going to help you, give you some context to whatever you're looking for. If you feel like you need assistance with your research methodology, that's when you're going to reach out to the Center for Research Quality. And if anybody wants me to show you how to get to their website, I'd be happy to do that. But yeah, we're just showing you the database and showing you how to go through it. Definitely not to like what to pick or how to use it or anything. This is definitely just a informational webinar on this particular database and how to get to the different cool resources that they have in here. Anything else popping up, Amanda?
Nope, just a lot of positive feedback.
Good.
Looks like a great resource and lots of excitement.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad that this database doesn't get as much love as it does. It should get more because it's super awesome. I just think there's so much great content in here.
Yeah, I really love the project planner.
Isn't
That
that
is
cool?
neat. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think when I started here 6 years ago, I came into this database and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like anything you'd ever want to know about researching is basically in here. So it's so cool. And I know a lot of the doctoral students have to do methodology classes, so this is more of like supplemental content that you can come back to and refer to once you're done with those courses if you want to. But again, if you have any follow-up questions, you can always email the library. If you're a doctoral student and you want to talk to a librarian one-on-one, about research, research as far as finding articles, not doing your research, we're happy to do that. And so the webinar itself will be, again, we're recording it, so it'll be, we'll put it up on our website, and I'll show you where we're going to do that. So under Get Help, and it'll be under Recorded Webinars. And I think I have to click a couple times. I think it'll be under Library Skills. That sounds right. I haven't been in here for a while. I'm pretty sure it'll be in here. Oh boy, I'll have to scroll and figure out exactly where it's linked. But it'll be in this section somewhere. Oh yeah, okay, so it'll be in this introduction to series of mystery webinars. And then it should be in this list. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but I promise it's in here. If you need help finding it, we can certainly do that. But otherwise, a recorded link of this webinar will go right to your email tomorrow. And like I said, I'll make sure that the slide deck's attached, so you'll have access to both. So awesome. And the email will go to whatever email address you use to register with. So it doesn't matter if it was, I can't remember if it required a Walden account or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But either way, we really appreciate you being here with us this evening, or depending on what time zone, or maybe it could be this morning. But we really appreciate you being here. It's awesome. Like I said, if you have any follow-up questions, you can always go to Ask a Librarian and contact us. Or, again, if you're a doctoral student and you want to make an appointment, you certainly can. So thanks again for being here tonight. You'll see an email from us in the next 24 hours. And thanks again for showing up, and stay safe and healthy.
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.